So Nelson, can you tell us a bit about your history and background in the Georgian Bay area?
Yeah, I'm from the area originally. We moved here when I was 3 years old from the east side. Graduated from OSCVI. After that, went on to OCAD University in Toronto. Majored in integrated media and minored in English.
Before heading off to OCAD, have you had a experience or previous film work, video work?
Yeah, everything kind of starts with your friends. My first video camera was really just a way for me to record us skateboarding and biking around here, actually. Anything that needed recording or documenting was kind of my thing, to always be the documentarian of our group of friends, and that's just kind of how it all spawned out for me.
So after being in the big city at OCAD, what brought you back to the area?
Actually, I had a really tough time there throughout school. I moved to Toronto and didn't like it immediately. I missed this kind of thing. Everything down there seemed so man-made, and it was just so different. A big culture shock, really. And so I came back here. I came back on a lot of weekends. Eventually moved to Guelph and did the commute from Guelph to Toronto. Then I moved back here with my wife and drove from Owen Sound to Toronto for school. That was a little bit taxing. Graduated yesterday, done with the drive. Really just missed the area, missed the community. I just feel like there's a lot of things happening here right now that aren't really happening elsewhere. There's a very independent sense of arts community here, and you don't really see it a lot of other places. It's very DIY. It's very raw here, and that's what I appreciate about this place.
Yeah, actually speaking of say the Toronto art scene, where it's like highly developed, you know, gallery systems are in place, festivals are in place. Do you have a sense of sort of leaving that area and coming to an area where it's not as developed and it's not as institutionalized, that there's a bit of freedom with that?
Absolutely. There's such a chance to kind of craft our own brand of arts and our own look and feel here. Down there, you're absolutely right. It's been done, and they have a system that works for them, and it doesn't necessarily work for everybody that comes in or wants to adapt their own kind of style to the way that the gallery scene works, or the institutionalized side of art and design. It's up for grabs here. I mean, not to say that there isn't an established style or mentality here, but it seems like everybody's very inclusive of different things coming here. You don't have to be into techno, or you don't have to be into landscape painting or watercolors. Everybody can do everything together. There's always a way to collaborate with somebody up here.
Right. With your recent graduation, what are your plans now that you're a graduate?
That's a really good question. That's actually a very good question. I have an Indiegogo campaign on the go right now to direct my first piece on the peninsula out of school. It's called Feral. It's about following a group of adults who try and revert to a childlike state of mind in order to rekindle some of their forgotten adolescent experiences rooted in the great outdoors.
Has this idea been percolating for a while, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of started as a daydream about 2 years ago, while I was in school in Toronto. Just really missing home and missing my friends and people here, family, and just thinking about the places that I used to spend time. I didn't have the time to spend there anymore, and it just seemed like a shame. And it's almost an excuse to kind of get to go back and relive a bit of experience that I've forgotten about, or yeah.
So for this upcoming film, Feral, how are you approaching it? Are you writing a script? Are you sort of storyboarding?
No script.
No script?
It's a documentary format, so it's very by the seat of your pants. That's the way I like to work in general. I don't really like to formulate too far ahead, because you have to leave that room for like creative spontaneity. There has to be a time when you just put the paperwork away and set the camera down and say, this isn't working, we have to change it, and try and adapt to our surroundings and make it work in our own way. And so Fearl's going to be exactly that kind of film. We make our own production equipment out of recycled material, junk, scraps, found material. We make jibs, cranes, Steadicams, you name it. We don't have the resources around here or the bank account to be able to fund renting equipment like that we need to pull off the professional feel of videos like they do in the city. So we just make it happen. We farm something together, so to speak.
How many people would be involved in the filming?
That's still up in the air as well. I've got 3 or 4 people who are brilliant with a camera behind the project right now. A few locals, a few of my colleagues from Toronto are going to come up and help out. They're very unfamiliar with the area and very interested in what we've been doing up here and why I chose to leave and come back here instead of stay there. The subjects all vary in age. We're still finalizing a group of people to focus on in the film. They range all the way from about age 65 to 10. So there's quite a diverse demographic here that we're going after.
Right. I noticed on one of the promo images attached to the fundraising campaign, there seemed to be a couple of youngsters with fern leaves over their mouths.
Well, those were mustaches.
Yeah, mustaches. Yeah. Great.
The blonde kid there, that's my brother-in-law, Mackenzie. He's 10 years old. He's going to be the film's child mentor. He's the coach, more or less, too. His job is to assist the subjects as they go to these places and live out their memories and overcome their fears. He's the one to help them kind of readjust their adults' thinking into more of an authentic childhood experience. He uses the metaphor, if you were going to go out in the bush and build a teepee, the adult way of thinking would be to measure the sticks, and he says that's just not fun. You have to just do it the way that it is because it's better. It's more adaptable, it's more sustainable, it's just a funner, quicker, better way to do it in his eyes. And so that, just as a way of thinking, it's different than I would have thought, and then many of our subjects would have thought. So it's the way that we're going to approach this, and hopefully with his help it comes off as genuine and as authentic as possible.
Yeah, sort of in that line of thinking, you know, you can make strong and rational arguments for, you know, how adults grow and organize and, you know, measure and calculate.
Yeah.
You know, but at some point, you know, maybe even, you know, being an artist, a filmmaker as well, that you still retain some of that child's curiosity and that question, what if we, you know, there's a way to do this, but the child's play and experimentation.
Mm-hmm. His mode of thinking is failure doesn't really exist in his eyes. If something doesn't work out, you just try it a different way, or you tweak a certain aspect of this and change that, or you put somebody else there. There's never he never gives up on anything that he undertakes, and that's also a very big part of this. Regardless of what happens with financing and budgeting and people coming on board, we're gonna do this project regardless of anything that happens, because really that's just the way the film is set up.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of the sites and locations that you might be traveling to and shooting at?
All over. It's dependent on where the subjects feel they want to explore again. I know myself, if it was going to be me, I spent a lot of time up at Hope Bay and Miller Lake on the peninsula. Those would definitely be spots that I would check out. I know one of our subjects has a really big interest in being a trapeze artist. So, I mean, we're going to have to source a location where that's an applicable spot to do what he wants to do. Another one, it can really be anywhere, as long as it's outside. Yeah. It has to be rooted in outdoor experience, more or less. That's what ties the film back to here, and why making it here is what we want to do, rather than make it in a city center or elsewhere. It's the Bruce that has brought us back, and it's the Bruce that's going to keep us here.
Right. What, in terms of finishing the production in the film, what are your hopes, you know, in terms of audience engagement or distribution? Right. What are you hoping to do with that?
Distribution. Now, I was fortunate enough to I got accepted to the Hot Docs Festival in Toronto for a accelerator program, a lot of conferences and meetings. Distribution has changed a lot in recent years with digital downloads and iTunes, and maybe not even recent years, quite a while. But so distribution doesn't necessarily mean I have to burn a bunch of DVDs myself. There's going to be so many ways to take part in this film. There's going to be premieres, there's going to be festival runs, there is going to be DVDs, there is going to be digital downloads. We're thinking about doing a behind-the-scenes segment-based episode feature where you get a sense of how the film's made, and we'll post it to our Facebook page and so forth.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I remember, I might date myself here, but I remember trying to get my hands on some movies when I was very young, and it was actually, you'd have to call a guy in a van.
Oh yeah.
And he'd come over with these big, almost like 45 record discs and some crazy player.
Yeah.
Fast forward 40 years, and that access to get your film out just seems to have exploded, and there's all kinds of options for awareness, distribution, and various platforms.
Yeah.
Do you feel that's a positive growth?
I do. It's always tough when you're behind the lens and you're trying to make a living at it. People downloading and pirating stuff and that kind of thing. I've never downloaded movies myself. I've streamed many. I mean, I have to. As a filmmaker, I have to keep up to date with what's happening, the new methods, the new technologies, the new this, the new that. It's important that as long as you don't really take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I mean, people that are burning discs, and if it's just to get a movie out there and show it to somebody, that's exactly what film's for. Film is meant to be seen.
Yeah.
So if that's the way that it has to get pushed out there and exposed to the world, then so be it. If it has to be my film, I'm just grateful that somebody wants to watch it. So of course, download away, do your thing. Yeah.
Are you? You talked about premiere. Are you hoping to have a official premiere in the Owen Sound area?
Absolutely. Venue has yet to be decided. We're still in like the pre-production phase, but yes, of course we're gonna have a premiere here. It's gonna be inclusive. There are some incentives on our Indiegogo page to get tickets to come to it. They are going to be available in town. People who live here are going to be invited to come to it. It's very much a community-based thing, and we hope everybody comes out.
Right. Well, I'm excited to see the finished product, and I'll definitely attend the premiere.
Great. Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing the finished film.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers.